Hey, good morning, everyone, or good afternoon, depending on where you are, probably. I want to welcome you to our annual Partner for Impact event. And, sometimes you get invited to these events and the title doesn't really tell you exactly what's going to happen. I think today it's very clear. We've got three pieces to the title: Partner for Impact. And so today we're going to have the opportunity to talk with some amazing leaders from our corporate retail brand partners and how they help make what we do possible. The four, how we do that together, and then the impact, what actually happens on the ground and why that matters. So 2022 has been an incredible year. There are a lot of stories to tell. We're going to tell some of them today, and it's only a fraction of the stories that are out there, right? There are so many things that happen, big and small, that we are not going to get a chance to talk about today. But if you are interested in more, on our website will be our 2022 impact report. It's up there now if you want to go take a look, and it dives into more stories, numbers, metrics, financials, and a lot more about the people who make that possible. So thanks for joining today. Hopefully you're going to walk away with a sense of the incredible richness of the community of people that Soles4Souls is a part of. And together we are doing some amazing things around the world. So I want to start by sort of framing what's going to happen today. So we're going to talk about four of our programs. One is called For Opportunity. Another is called For Relief. Another one is called For Every Kid. And the last one, which is either an umbrella or a platform, depending how we talk about it, and that is For the Planet. So we're going to go through each of those, talk about our partners and how they make things happen, amazing things happen, and a little chance for you to see how people think about this, why it matters to customers, employees, investors, and people on the ground. So we're going to start with our For Opportunity program, and we have a short video to help explain that to make sure we're all on the same page. So if you roll that video now.
Have you ever wondered what happens to your donated shoes? How do those shoes actually get into the hands of entrepreneurs or on the feet of kids experiencing homelessness? Let's start with the For Opportunity process. Soles4Souls has collection points all over the world. As shoes are donated, they are loaded into a truck and delivered to the closest warehouse. At our warehouse, shoes are paired and sorted by quality. Once sorted, the shoes are packed and shipped to entrepreneurs all over the world. In Honduras, for example, shoes are sold through thrift stores and individuals, providing jobs and creating income that helps the entrepreneurs provide food, shelter, and education for their families.
So that gives you a little bit about, hopefully it makes what we do understandable, but I will say there is a lot behind that, right? It's never easy just to say, people donate shoes and they wind up in the places that we talk about, and we'll talk about more today. It's only because of incredible partnership that we are able to do that. And so I want to start, I'll put in quotes on the supply side, and I'm very happy to welcome an amazing partner and friend, Roger Rollins, who is the CEO at Designer Brands, a big part of which is DSW. And we've been partners in a very serious way for going into our sixth year now. And in that time, DSW customers have donated 7 million pairs of shoes, which is just an extraordinary thing to say out loud. So Roger, you've been leading DSW and DBI through an incredible amount of change, pandemic, economy, new brands, lots of exciting things going on for you. Why do you think this partnership has been successful?
Well, buddy, first of all, thanks for having me. But for us, I think our customers and our associates have just really become super passionate about this program. And I believe the big win we have had was when we incorporated this program into our loyalty program. And it created, I would describe it as a win-win-win, meaning our Soles4Souls obviously is winning as our consumers are donating shoes. Our business wins because we get loyalty from the consumer, and the customer wins because they get a new pair of shoes and we give them a discount for their donation. And I think it's the combination of those things that have really connected with our customer and created the results you mentioned.
So Roger, I want to come back to loyalty because I think that's been one of the innovative things that I think you and the DSW team identified. But you've been the CEO since 2015. Later this year, you were transitioning out of that role. Can you talk about, there are lots of things to be proud of at your time there, but What has this meant to you personally? I know it's easy to say, hey, corporate program, check, 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 but I get the sense that it's been more than that. So can you talk a little bit about the personal connection?
Yeah, buddy. I think one of the things that I think many of us struggle with is trying to figure out ESG in a meaningful way and how we can have an impact beyond obviously providing jobs and things for our teams. But for me personally, this has been such a huge win for our organization because we've been able to create, I think, what is a very positive environmental impact by effectively giving these shoes another life, which is amazing. But then it also empowers individuals and families that are able to get work their way out of poverty, and it's creating a direct economic benefit in these very small communities that need it most. So I think you add all of that up, and it's a huge win for our organization, and obviously something that I think I'm very proud of, and our team is very proud of.
Great. Well, it's great to hear that. I know sometimes the personal part gets lost in running a public company and what you can't say. So thanks for sharing that little bit of insight. But I do want to come back to the business for a second and loyalty. This has really been kind of a lane that I think this partnership has evolved in. DSW and DBI have always done a great job of putting kind of the customer first and really understanding that journey. But you guys have gone beyond that, especially with our travel opportunity to incorporate not just team members, but customers. So can you talk about how that you've seen that idea of loyalty actually sort of transform into more than just loyalty, but people being ambassadors for the brand now?
Yeah, I think what's been so great is we've really taken, I'd say, hit a pause button, and the last 12 months have just been about educating our associates and customers on the benefits of the program, and obviously travel being one of those big benefits, and that allows us to create stories, and those stories we're able to then share, and it has directly impacted the kind of donations that are taking place, and there's really two kinds of donations we create. One, obviously the shoes, and in the past 12 months, I think we're at roughly 2 million pairs of shoes, but we also collected another $600,000 of donations at our registers, because by educating our associates, they've connected that with the consumer. And you add that into the fact that we're bringing our associates and our customers on these trips. And I think what's so amazing is you hear the stories when they come back from the trips, and it creates a connection that connects to their heart. And then our associates, when they're standing in front of a consumer and sharing what it is this program is about, they're able to tell real life stories. And I think the combination of all of those things have really allowed us to have an impact, again, much bigger than I think any of us had even anticipated, buddy, when we started talking about this 6 or 7 years ago.
Yeah, I will say I had the chance to go to your store manager event last year in California, and I met some amazing people. I'm like, how can I hire them? That's probably not in the spirit of partnership, but man, what amazing people who really have the Soles4Souls story down. I promise not to do that though.
Thank you.
So
Bud.
I'd like to connect what Roger just said about the shoes and the impact that they're making, and now engage a good friend, Sam Darguen, who's the founder of the Haitian American Caucus. Sam and I have been working together directly now for 10 years. And Sam, look, you're working in one of the hardest places in the world right now, probably in Haiti. But can you talk a little bit about what HAC, which is kind of the shorthand for Haitian American Caucus, what HAC is doing in Haiti and now the Dominican Republic?
Absolutely. Well, first and foremost, buddy, thank you for this opportunity just to really chat about our partnership and the work that we've been doing. The Haitian American Caucus, our work in Haiti has really two main arms. One of them is education through our main school in Kwarebuke, and now we've moved to several satellite schools throughout the country, as well as micro entrepreneurship, which is of course where our partnership with Soles4Souls comes in. When I first moved to Haiti, I remember, the first thing that I saw was that people with so little can create so much opportunity for themselves and for their families. And one of the main things that we said was doing it through micro entrepreneurship, doing it through business training was a really, really sure way to get people out of poverty.
Great. Sam, I want to there's so many ways that we could take this conversation because of the work that you're doing. But I think it's important to say, when we first met, HAC didn't really care about the shoe business, right? You were building a school, you were doing education around English as a second language and healthcare for nurses. You were doing a lot of things. Can you talk about not just the impact on the entrepreneurs, the woman selling the shoes, what that's meant for her family, but what it's meant on HAC's ability to expand its impact in Haiti?
Of course. You know, as you said, buddy, when the opportunity to use shoes came to us as a way to help folks, at first we really did not connect the dots, right? But it didn't take long after we started seeing some of the women, especially that we were working with, within months, right? Purchasing land, within months, building homes, and really seeing their lives change right before our very eyes. So that's on the entrepreneur side. For HAC, our partnership with Soles4Souls has really allowed us to expand our main school. When we first started, we had a one building, one story, poorly built facility. Over the course of our 10-year partnership, we have 3 modern, brand new buildings, going from about 65 students when we first started to now over 600 students. So it's really helping us to maintain our current operations in Haiti. And again, as you mentioned, Haiti is extremely, extremely difficult at this moment to do any sort of work in. But this partnership is really making it happen, even though the circumstances in Haiti are extremely, extremely difficult.
Sam, there's a lot we could talk about just what's going on in Haiti and in the, I don't know, it seems like it's impossible to be optimistic some days, I'm sure, for you. But you have done, I think, an amazing thing, and we were just together in the Dominican Republic to focus on the Haitian immigrants there. Can you talk a little bit about how what you've learned in Haiti you're now transferring to the country next door to continue to help Haitians?
Absolutely. You know, with our experience working in Haiti and really seeing how, you know, I always talk about, it's that one pair, right? That one pair that maybe for Soles4Souls, or even for myself, I may not fully understand what that means, but literally when we saw, you know, a entrepreneur with, you know, 6 pairs of shoes being able to do so much for themselves and for their family, we automatically saw that there was a lot of impact and work that needed to be done. Of course, with the situation in Haiti, there's always been Haitians in the Dominican Republic. There seems to be an influx now with the current political and economic situation in Haiti, but we are taking the exact lessons that we've learned to really help Haitians on the other side of the island. And it again continues to be around entrepreneurship. If folks can have an ability to make money, they're able to take care of their family, send their kids to school, and their entire perspective really does change.
Great. Well, Sam, thanks. I'm excited about what you're launching in the DR and that we get to be a part of that. I'm now maybe going to try to do a little bit of a bridge. So we've heard Roger talk about the incredible 7 million pairs of shoes from DSW customers. We've heard from Sam that one pair matters. Like there's a woman he works with, Jeanette, who said once, there's a Haitian proverb, no kindness is too small, right? So one pair of shoes really matters. I think about her quote a lot. There's an amazing family I want to share a video from, the Bakers, that we've been working with since 2012. And this family in Minneapolis, since they started, collected more than 650,000 pairs of shoes. They've traveled with us. They show what one person, one family can really do. So if we can roll the video of the Baker family.
My name is Claire Baker.
My name is Pam Baker.
We started working with Soles4Souls back in 2010 after the earthquake hit Haiti in Port-au-Prince. I wanted to do something to help, but I didn't know what. And I learned about the importance of a pair of shoes. Started to collect shoes through a family friend of ours. It blew up much bigger than what we anticipated. And we got a random phone call from Soles4Souls and talked with them. And we found out that we could then send our 4,000 pair of shoes that we collected to Soles4Souls. And the relationship had snowballed ever since then.
We concluded our collection in September of 2022 with a grant grand total of 650,000 pairs of shoes.
It was really cool to see that big number, but I was also like, that's how many people times 2 have been impacted. You know, not just the people that are receiving those shoes, but the people who have been involved and donating the shoes or have heard about the shoe collection over the last 12 and a half years. My first trip was when I was a sophomore in high school. So I was not even 16 yet, and I was able to travel to this third world country, and it was an eye-opening moment. When you're sitting there cleaning, washing the feet of a kid that is maybe your same age or younger, and you're washing their feet and you come across a bump or something on the bottom, and you look at it and there's a big scar or scab or cut on the bottom. And in the moment as a high schooler, I had no ability to help them. And that was really hard for me because I want to be able to help full circle, not just give you a pair of shoes. I want to be able to prevent what might cause further harm. And so in that moment, I knew that my life's career had to be giving back to others. And so I've now graduated from nursing school, and I just received my bachelor's of science in nursing, and I got my license this last week. So it's a whole big close the circle moment of how Soles4Souls, not just the shoes collection, but Soles4Souls has impacted our family and my life, and how you do little things and you don't realize how it's ingrained in you. And giving back and helping others is just part of who I am. And that was instilled through the shoe collection and the travels and the people that we met while we were with Soles4Souls.
Freaking love that family. They are amazing people. So Sam and Roger, we're gonna move on to the next section. But thanks so much for really sharing your perspective on how shoes and what you're doing creates opportunity for people and being amazing partners on the ground. So thank you both. Really appreciate it.
Thank you, buddy.
So we're now going to transfer the conversation to what we call For Relief. It's in Soles4Souls DNA. Since Soles4Souls existed, even before we officially existed, we were responding to natural disasters and man-made disasters. So if we could run the For Relief video now.
Now, what about the shoes distributed for disaster relief or impoverished communities? We call this For Relief. We partner with brands, corporations, and factories to procure high-quality shoes and ship them to a Soles4Souls warehouse. They are sorted by type, size, and gender, and placed into boxes that are prepared for shipment. Soles4Souls works with nonprofits, schools, and community organizations all over the world to provide shoes to people in times of greatest need. Many of us can't fathom what it would be like to lack something as basic as a pair of shoes, but because of your partnership and support of our mission, we are able to meet the needs for shoes for so many people and provide health, hope, and dignity to millions.
So actually, we're not going to talk about shoes next. We're going to talk about the apparel, which is an important part of what we do at Soles4Souls, and have two amazing women to talk with. We're going to talk with Angela Harrell, who is the Senior Vice President, Chief Diversity and Corporate Impact Officer at Voya Financial, President of their foundation. But we're going to start with co-founder and CEO of Third Love, Heidi Zak. So Heidi, thanks for being here. And I'd love to have more of a conversation with you. It's really, there's so much to talk about. But when you guys started Third Love, you changed the conversation around intimate wear and how important it is. Still a big leap from that, talking about fit and bodies and how to be comfortable, to people in crisis. So can you talk about how Third Love has really merged those two things?
Yeah, thank you, buddy. So in the early days of Third Love, we came to realize that so many women, especially in shelters around the country, here in the US, didn't have the most basic undergarments they needed to start a new life. And that was shocking to us. Actually, we were very small at the time, and we said we can make an impact in San Francisco, our hometown. So we started there, and then over time just realized there was more need than our local community. And that really helped us expand both nationally and internationally. So some examples of this were something near and dear to our hearts. Our customer service team up in Chico, California, during the campfires, had communities destroyed, homes destroyed. That was a local endeavor. And speaking of Haiti as well, after the Haiti earthquake, as we did a very large donation to that country through partnerships. So we've just been really fortunate to say when we're needed, we'll step in and do the best we can to help women in particular, who oftentimes are the most impacted when these type of things occur. To just do a little bit to make them more comfortable. And that is our goal. So it ties back to what we do every day.
Yeah, I want to, you're too modest, Heidi, to say, but when we responded, and we're going to hear a video in just a second from our partner in Moldova, but when the Russians invaded Ukraine and the refugee situation just blew up, Third Love was one of the first companies to step up. And so through our partner there, we were able to distribute with Third Love and Fruit of the Loom and Under Armour. I mean, a lot of great brands, almost $20 million of retail value of shoes, clothes, underwear, bras, socks. Bombas gets a shout out there. So really amazing. But Heidi, is there something that maybe has connected you a little bit more to Ukraine and Moldova? Because we've been working there together for a while.
Yeah, I mean, in particular, I think our entire team, when we saw what was happening and how many families were being split up, women, leaving their husbands with their children, literally, taking a bag or two with them. Can you imagine? And we serve women, and many of our customers are moms, and many of our team at Third Love are moms. And so to see that is completely heartbreaking. And so, yeah, of course, we were thinking, how can we do this? And part of it's always the logistics. It's hard to figure out when you don't know a country, right? How to make an impact. And that's why this has been such an amazing partnership, because you have these deep relationships and ways of getting product there quickly in times that are just incredibly difficult. So we're just fortunate, like I said, to be a partner of you and just to be one of those brands making an impact.
Heidi, I know we didn't really sort of talk about this in advance, but I think one of the ways that we also started working together was around your focus on sustainability. Like, you have this amazing take back customer promise. How important is that to your customers and to the company, as well as making a difference by helping in these crisis situations?
Yeah. So as it relates to our business, we always want to service our customer. So if she doesn't like what she's gotten, if it's not that perfect fit, we want her to be able to return it. So we have a very lenient return policy. And she knows that. As it relates to our Give Back program, oftentimes during the year, we'll do programs where we highlight the fact that we do a lot of donations. And in particular, what's been really exciting over this past year, we've opened 10 retail stores, our first retail stores across the country. As part of our opening plans in each city that we're in, we do a very 4-day kind of donation program where women can bring in lightly used or brand new bras they've never worn, donate them. And we talk about what we'll do with that product. And they love that. So women really love the ability to be able to give back and do that in a way where their bras don't end up in a landfill. Many women have a lot of bras they don't wear, they've never worn, and they don't like, that have the tags on them. And so for them to be able to come into a store, talk to a sales associate, kind of what you were talking about in the earlier panel, connect with the company and the mission in a different way has been really amazing to see.
Great. Well, in addition to all the good stuff, you're very brave for getting into in-person retail. So good luck with that. I want to switch a little bit and bring in Angela, who is also a Soles4Souls board member. Voya was a big supporter. They traveled with us before we got officially engaged. And Angela, going to shift a little bit to talk about For Relief. You've lived and worked in lots of places around the world, Africa, Latin America, as well as the US. So can you talk about your personal experience of seeing how shoes and clothes matter to people?
Yeah, thanks, Betty. It's such a pleasure to be here today. I think that there is something really powerful about people actually being on the ground and really seeing and feeling and understanding how important shoes are. This thing that we often so much take for granted, how it's so vital to life, to health, to dignity. So my first time with out of the country, actually, with Soles4Souls was in Costa Rica back in 2017. My company, Voya Financial, we are serious volunteers. We're about 6,000 employees, and 70% of us volunteer throughout the course of the year. And part of that's because we provide 40 hours of paid volunteer time. So one of the things that we thought might be pretty special was to help our employees use some of that volunteer time away on an employee sabbatical. And so we took 5 employees who'd been nominated by their peers to Costa Rica on a trip to serve. And in the course of that time, not only did we have the opportunity to go to schools and wash feet and fit young little children for shoes, but we also got to see the pride and the joy on their faces of having this new pair of shoes, having a pair of shoes that they could wear to school. We saw shoes that didn't have soles. We saw shoes with toes coming out of the sides. I mean, and that these are young people, and I've seen in my own kind of life and living in communities, these are shoes that have gone down from not just brother to sister to brother, but sometimes generations. And so there were some kids who wanted to wear them proudly away, some who wanted to tuck them back into the box, right? And take them home to share them and that experience with their parents. And so, all of us on that trip fell in love. And although we had been collecting, shoes, gently used shoes for Soles4Souls for a number of years, really, we've been doing that for a good 12 or 13 years now at this point, something changed and something was different. And we all came back on fire. We committed to, collecting 10,000 shoes. We started in that endeavor. We started including our employees in volunteering even during the pandemic, like encouraging them to tell their family and friends to put shoes out on the porch. You don't even have to interact, right? Box them up, send them in through Zappos. And so Soles4Souls is now part of our kind of ongoing partnership, donations, giving. And since that trip in 2017, Buddy, we've provided about $2 million in shoes and financial support as an organization. And it's vital, right, for us it's who we are. But to have a partner like Soles4Souls, we've had 3 now employee sabbaticals since that first one. So it's now part of who we are, and we're planning another one for this year. So yes.
So Angela, I'm gonna with your Voya Foundation president hat on for a second. I'm sure that you have way more requests than you can possibly respond to. So how do you guys think about how you allocate your resources, both the financial and the time ones? I'm not asking you to plug Soles4Souls, but how do you guys think about that?
Yeah, so look, the way that a nonprofit manages itself and can actually measure its impact is really important to us. We don't just think about what goes in on the front end. So you'll never hear us just reporting about here's the amount of money that we invested. What we want to know is, and what about the lives that were changed? What was that meaningful difference? Our really purpose as an organization is to fight for everyone's opportunity for a better financial future. That's literally our company's purpose. And what better way than for relief, for the opportunity for kids. I mean, it is core to financial resilience, what you're doing. We also are environmental stewards. And we are very proud that sustainability, even though we're a financial services company, we don't have a huge footprint because we don't have retail locations. We've always found it very important to do our part and more. And actually, we have an environmental employee-led council, and Soles4Souls is the nonprofit that they work with the most and really focus on supporting because of the sustainability kind of commitment that you all have. We all like to feel like our goods have a second life, a third life. And when they can actually go to help entrepreneurs, help communities and families, it literally all ties in with what our company is all about. And so that is the connection. That is always the connection when you're a corporate funder, is making sure that there is a tie to your overall business strategy.
Well, Angela, even though we didn't practice it, that is a fantastic segue for what you're talking about and what Third Love and Heidi and her team have done specifically around for relief in Ukraine. So I want to share a video from an amazing man, Mark Fashevsky, who we've been working with in Moldova and Transnistria for more than a decade. And it's really ramped up in the last year. Unfortunately, still in the news, quite at the top of the page about Ukrainian refugees. So if we could roll that video.
So my name is Mark Fashevsky. I represent Heart for Orphans, located in the Republic of Moldova, Transnistria. Our focus is on orphan children and teens that come out of the state around orphanages. And the goal of our organization is to find a better home for them. We've had quite an influx of people to Moldova at the onset of the war. We were able to partner with local organizations that went to the border, met the refugees, took them to their homes or to the government shelters. And then we were able to get some, like shoes, clothing, foods, hygiene items. The most efficient way to help the refugees would be to give them vouchers so they could come to the shops and basically choose what they needed, instead of just taking clothing and shoes and dumping on them. It deemed better for them just to come as a regular shopper. So on the whole, it was like a very neat and pleasant experience for them in terms of the dignity and in terms of the comfort, proximity. You can have all the best intentions, but when it comes to the action, and if you don't have anybody behind you, your efforts are just in vain. And so having Soles4Souls committing to the cause and sort of being established as a good partner and have all this sort of business relationship, through getting the product and the logistics and everything, it came very handy that they were able to help us. So without them, we would have achieved little. Well, I just want to take this opportunity and thank everybody who was involved and stays involved. We do make a change, and we add, a little bit of whatever we have towards restoring justice, peace, stability. And so by joint efforts, we will prevail. So thank you for that.
It's not often that we get to hear shoes and clothes talked about in terms of justice, peace, and stability, but that's exactly what happened. So Angela and Heidi, thanks so much for sharing your perspective and everything that you're doing to help Soles4Souls and lots of other people in the world. So thanks for your time today. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Okay, bye-bye. Now we're going to shift gears to our third programmatic area, which is relatively new for Soles4Souls. It's called For Every Kid. It's maybe one of the most exciting things I think Soles4Souls has tackled in a long time. Again, we have a short video that we'll share about that, and then we're going to come back and talk about what we're doing here in the U.S., helping to serve kids who are experiencing homelessness. So let's roll the video.
Imagine waking up and getting ready for the day, and instead of having the option to pick which pair of shoes to wear, you had only one pair. That was too small, or full of holes. Or maybe you didn't have a pair of shoes at all. It may be hard to believe, but that's the reality for the 1.5 million kids in the US experiencing homelessness. They don't get the choice they deserve. That's why we're working to provide brand new athletic shoes to each of these kids every year. Because giving kids choice means giving them confidence. Kids who receive new shoes are more confident, attend school more regularly, and are more physically active. But it's more than that. New shoes mean opportunity. It means they get to attend that after-school program they've been looking forward to. They fit in with the other kids, and they don't have to feel insecure about the shoes on their feet. They even have the choice to try out for the team because they actually have shoes that fit their feet. But most of all, it means they have the freedom to just be a kid, in the classroom and on the playground.
Join Soles4Souls in being for every kid. When you give, you help put shoes on the feet of a person with potential and joy in the heart of a kid who needs it.
All right. I see Deidre has got Mardi Gras on, so happy to talk to her and say hello to Diane Sullivan as well. So for every kid, just to be super clear, our goal is to put a new pair of branded athletic shoes on every kid experiencing homelessness in our public schools. It's 1.5 million kids. We've served about 100,000 since we started in October of 2020. It's a big change for Soles4Souls, and one of the things that we knew we'd have to do is think about it differently. And one of the most early and important partners, and I've said this to her before, but she's kind of a hero of mine, is Diane Sullivan, who is the executive chairman at Caleres. And so, Diane, you have a lot of brands under your umbrella. You know, some are very consumer oriented and high fashion. You've also got Famous Footwear, which is very family focused. How do you guys think about, and you do lots around families, so how do you guys think about families and how Caleres helps support them?
Well, we've been, doing that for a long time, buddy, as you know. But I have to tell you, when you and the team came to visit us, I think it was in the summer of 21, and shared the story about For Every Kid and what you were trying to do, I think it was a little bit of a turning point for us, too, in terms of the kind of things that maybe we could get involved in. And it was very much about this idea, right, that right in your own backyard, our headquarters are here in St. Louis. I remember you telling us, it was coming just out of the pandemic where everybody was, really, I think at this place where you were really trying to do everything you possibly could to try to have everybody kind of move forward from this. Anyway, you shared the story about in St. Louis, there was more than 15,000 children that were experiencing homelessness, and they didn't have shoes to go back to school in. You can't unhear that. That was, from that minute, I knew, well, I was a goner on that, because there was no way that we weren't going to figure out how to partner with you on a relatively new initiative for Soles4Souls and your organization, but thought we just had to, really jump all in. And I think, as you know, we did. Takes a little while, but we, supported the initiative, and I think, as I'm sure you'll share, but this past year now in 22, I would like to say that we could get complete those 15,000 pairs on children's feet. I think we got somewhere between 4,000 and 5,000 pairs on the feet of the kids, some of the kids in St. Louis here. But thought your video did a perfect job of describing. I mean, that tells you exactly why. And this whole idea that you can help an individual child create that future, help them with that opportunity. And, I think our mission that we've been talking about here at Caleres for 15 years is about inspiring people to feel great feet first. And if that doesn't, do it on the philanthropic side, I don't know what else really does. So I think it was an easy decision for us to work with you guys, as we do with, lots of other folks too. But that was, I think, this idea about every individual child, that you could see how you could help them create a better future. It was remarkable. So I'm thrilled to be part of it.
Well, we are too. And just to be clear, Diane is way too classy to say it out loud, so I will. Caleres made $1 million commitment to For Every Kid between cash and shoes. So it was a giant, the biggest donation to Soles4Souls by far, and it is driving a lot of action. Diana, look, you've been in the footwear industry for a long time. You've been leading Caleres in one way or another for almost 20 years. You also have done, and I think maybe the footwear industry is unique in this, but everybody's kind of competing as hard as they can and yet come together to help work on certain causes. How would you tell other or share with other leaders about how they engage in causes? So we think the 1.5 million pairs is a worthy cause. We can do something about that. But how do you guys think about it corporately, engaging employees, et cetera?
Yep. Well, there's lots of different lenses, I guess, that you have to look through, Betty, right? It's the lens that, as a public company, you look through your investors and your shareholders, so all the ESG requirements and things that you're trying to fulfill. You look through the lens of your associates. You want to feel proud about what the company is doing, so we're always thinking about that. The industry, that you serve, so we make sure that we do a lot of support in our industry as well. And then obviously the communities that you serve. So we really do try to make sure that we do something good through all of those different lenses, to make sure that when you add it all up, this, we actually like to say a lot that, how we do business is as important as how much business we do. And so that how is very, very important. And there isn't any formula, I wouldn't say, to, how you sort of look at it. And, I'm actually feel that sometimes it is good to change it, to be reflective on things and to move forward and do different things. So, but we try to touch all of those different lenses and all of our constituencies to make sure that, we're caring. I mean, one of our values is we talk about we're, our caring company, and we were intentional about using that word because caring is if you care, you have to do something, right? It's not a state of being. If you're caring, it means you have to take action. And so I think, between our values, our mission, the constituencies, the communities we live in, the consumers we serve, we try to, keep a decent balance of doing a good job on all of those pieces.
Right. Well, I'm going to help share that by bringing into the conversation Dr. Deidre Thomas Murray, who is always festive. I don't know that this might be the peak I've seen so far. It's a good time of the year, but Dr. Thomas Murray is right on the ground of working with these kids and what she does for the students who are experiencing homelessness in St. Louis. So maybe you could talk about what it's like for these kids. What's a day in the life like for a kid experiencing homelessness that you might come across?
Thank you, Buddy. And thank you, Diane, for taking action. I am the director of the Students in Transition Office, where we serve consistently over 5,000 homeless students and their families. And a day in life for somebody experiencing homelessness usually equates to them having to choose between food and shelter. Shoes are on the back burner, unfortunately. We have a large unaccompanied youth population, and those are students without parental support. And so they are literally surfing without water. We have grandparents who are taking charge of children and do not have the financial capacity to provide the type of support necessary. And I just remember this story vividly during one of our giveaways. Soles4Souls for every kid has been so meaningful to this program. But this grandmother, she said, every year, either I'm at the thrift store or trying to find a way to provide support. She was taking care of 4 grandkids and literally in tears. And I heard, I think it was Roger who talked about loyalty. Loyalty, their loyalty provides hope. I remember hearing this saying, they call him Willie Moe Jr., but he said, hope is the ability to hear music. Faith is having the courage to dance to it. Nobody likes, well, I like dancing barefooted, but children. So when we do these giveaways, they have the opportunity to dance in their new shoes. And it's something about it that happy feet is literal. It's something about having new shoes that's like music to these children's souls. But we have so many unique challenges. And so, we really appreciate Colaris and Souls for Souls and For Every Hope and all those who aspire to make a difference in the lives of children and families. I think I left out, Buddy, how those shoes prevent bullying. It decreases incidences of violence in schools. It doesn't feel good being teased or harassed or devalued because you don't resemble your peers. I think you were getting ready to ask me something. Go ahead.
Well, actually, I wasn't sure if I was going to do this, but I don't know if you saw it or not, but man, you teed it up perfectly. I'm a big poetry fan, and a 15-year-old student in Madison, Wisconsin, experiencing homelessness, wrote this poem, and it's almost exactly what you said. So I'm going to read it, if you don't mind. It's called My Dancing Feet. My feet sing in their new shoes. They proudly walk down the hall and squeak at everyone they pass. My shoes don't have air conditioning like my old ones. Small holes everywhere where the snow, rain, and cold seep through. My laces are new, and they keep my shoes on my feet tight and secure. I would often have to retrace my steps to find the shoe that slipped off because there were no laces, or they were tied in so many knots that didn't go all the way to the top of my shoe. My back feels oh so happy. My old shoes hurt my back, my toes, my pride. My soft new clean socks cushion my achy feet in the lovely supportive curve of my new shoes. They cradle my toes and warm them from my pinky to my heel. My dancing feet are so appreciative of the love that someone sent my way. Someone who recognizes that a pair of shoes is more than gold, or an A on a test, or a meal at night. A new pair of shoes gives me something to stand in and to stand tall in, to move forward and onward. My dancing feet are so happy. Don't worry, be happy. A pair of new shoes and socks, my feet are dancing all over. So I don't know that any of us could have said that any better than the young woman who was in that situation. But I think it captures both of what you said. Like, there is dignity, there is opportunity, there is not being bullied. So I just want to recognize, Deidre, I know your story. You've also experienced homelessness, so this isn't some academic theoretical thing for you. So maybe you could just share one little story before we go of how you've connected with a student around your own experience.
Yeah, so interestingly, I ended up in this position. I came here homeless by way of Hurricane Katrina. I literally just got off the road. I'm still in my Mardi Gras attire, coming home from Mardi Gras. And so during my homelessness, what I experienced was our clothes being taken from out of the dryer or the wash machine by families who needed clothes. And so when I began working in the school district, and kids would say, somebody stole my clothes, and I'm like, what? But of course I had experienced it. And what most people do not understand about homelessness, in many instances, these families are asked to leave when they're put out, and they don't have the luxury of packing. They're put out, or their items are thrown out onto the street. And so many instances, we may have just given them a pair of shoes. But when you're living in conditions where you're at the mercy of others, shoes are needed. It's sad and unfortunate, but this is what I did want to say, buddy, and you referenced it earlier. You were talking about the brand, and I was thinking about the variety of choices that our families have, because there's still pressure from peers wearing name brands, and children, this population wanting to have similar access. And so I just think it's important to note that these aren't any old shoes. These are new shoes, and they are shoes that children are proud to wear. So that's one of the challenges with homelessness, is being put out, and that the family member keeping your belongings, or the friend keeping your belongings. And so a lot of times folk can be condescending and say, well, didn't we just give you one? Those are micro insults, and we need to do our best to say, hey, how can I assist you without further injuring somebody who's already damaged? I had personal challenges. I've lived with over 178 foster kids. So I've been dealing with school systems for the past 38 years as a parent. And so I know some of these struggles firsthand, because I took in children with unique living situations.
Well, Deidre, thanks for making that very real and personal. Diane, it's always a pleasure to talk with you and hear how you're thinking about business and philanthropy and cause and making a difference in the world. It's a privilege to have you both here. Thanks for your time. We're now going to switch to the kind of platform that I talked about, and that's the fact that Soles4Souls is really engaged in sustainability. You've heard it a lot today. So we're going to run a little bit over. So please stay if you can. You'll be able to get a recording if you're not able to stay for the whole thing. But Diane and Deidre, thank you again. And if we could roll the For the Planet video. All right, we are now in our last segment, and I want to welcome Cam Monroe, who is Associate Vice President at FGL Sports and Sport Check, which is part of the biggest retailer in Canada, Canadian Tire. Cam is also on the Soles4Souls Canada board. So I want to pivot a little bit. We've talked about work in different parts of the world and collecting shoes here in the US, but also we're doing a lot of great stuff in Canada, and that's thanks to Cam. But Cam, I want to maybe focus our conversation a little bit on sustainability. I know that's a big focus for you. So can you talk about we've heard a little bit here, ESG, and some of the pressure that you guys are getting and putting on yourselves to think about sustainability and how to better care for the environment?
Sure. Thanks, buddy. I really appreciate the opportunity to speak, and it's going to be a hard act to follow. A lot of inspirational people on this and a lot of inspirational videos. But here in Canada, Sport Check, we're the largest sporting goods retailer. We employ about 15,000 people, and our staff are fairly young. And with the younger staff comes a lot of pressure for them on how are we doing good? How are we just not another big corporation taking and never giving back? So we're kept honest by the team. They push us forward. I have 2 daughters. They check me quite regularly on things like this. But Soles4Souls kind of came up as an opportunity, and we did a few things with them, and then we came to a point where we thought we were ready. We're ready to tackle this, and we've got other initiatives. Like, we stopped giving out plastic bags 10 months ago. We're one of the first non-grocery retailers in Canada to do it, and there's 11 million bags that were never produced because we stopped. And our field teams really embrace that kind of thing. We committed to planting 1 million trees with Bear Tree to reforest Canada and kelp on the West Coast. But what we didn't have is something to do with the product that already existed. And that's where Soles4Souls came in. Like, we sell a lot of shoes, and we've got a lot of staff that really love their footwear. And as we talk to them, they're like, we want to do something here. And so we started a pilot in Calgary, which is where our head office is for Sport Check. And I got on a call with a couple districts, and I said, this is what we're thinking. And I was like 3 sentences in, and the chat lit up with, we're in. They are so competitive, and they're so driven to do good that it was easy for us to get off the ground. And now the challenge is to get everybody to know about it, because Canada is a very large country. What my goal is for when someone sees a Soles4Souls donation box, it's not the first time they saw it, it's the 10th time, it's the 15th time. And so they start to learn about it. And we've got some great feedback from customers. We've got customers reaching out to staff in stores saying, if I do a shoe drive this summer, will you send the shoes? And we're like, yep, we'll do it. We've got people reaching out to Maria, who's on the business development team here in Canada, saying, I saw your donation bin in a Sport Check. How can I volunteer? So I think from a sustainability side, we were due. We were due to make a difference. Our staff is ready, willing, and able to make a difference. And we have a lot of catching up to do after hearing some of these numbers from these other groups like DBI at 7 million shoes. But we're competitive, so we're in it.
Well, that may have been intentional, Cam, I have to say. I don't know. I know you were competitive, so that may have been some method to the madness. But I do have a question. You talked about it a little bit. Like, and Roger talked about it, Diane talked about it, as did Heidi and Angela, is ESG and the corporate piece. But what are you getting from your customers? Like, are people coming in and saying, hey, I need an answer to this question? Or do they only know that when you say, hey, what if you did X with these shoes?
No, our customers are asking. Like, we do consumer insights, and they're telling us it's important. And you can look across the internet, and you can find a lot of white papers on people making their purchase decision based on what that business is doing. And we do a lot at Sport Check, but we also do a lot as an enterprise. We're a founding member of the Plastic Pact for Canada to reduce plastic waste, and we've got some pretty aggressive targets. So we're hearing it, they're saying it, and we're responding.
One of the things that I talked about with Roger and is innovative around involving customers in travel and some of those kinds of things. Do you think you guys might go that far, or is that kind of like, well, let's wait, we'll work towards that?
I've got a lot of good ideas listening to this, and certainly having some consumers on these trips is something that we aspire to. Like earlier, I said people are looking to do a shoe drive and partner with us to get the product to you. That's a perfect person to inspire even more and make that an annual shoe drive. So we're quite excited about the opportunity to kind of push forward as we grow our donation base, and the consumers play a big role in that. And a lot of what we do on the sustainability side is in the background, and it's not public facing, and that's some important work. But I think there's an opportunity to bring people along with us, and then that's a great opportunity to do that.
Great. Kim, one question that we did not talk about, but maybe we've got a minute to ask. Compared to the U.S., a different government system, there's more of a social safety net in some ways, or at least that's the perception. How do you guys, with your Soles for Souls Canada hat on, as well as somebody who lives in a prosperous, growing city, think about need and how to serve? Is it front and center? Do you say, oh, that's the government's job? How is that evolving in Canada?
It needs to be more front and center. Like, Canada has a reputation as a very strong country, but there are pockets in every city of people that need help. We have a lot of staff that do a lot of volunteering. I think we need to continue to push on that. I think we need to look for opportunities within Canada to do distributions with Soles for Souls, to bring that name out, to bring other companies on board. To, like I said earlier, like the first time I see a donation box, that's great, but I want to see it 10 times. I want to see it 15 times. I want it to be kind of woven into the charitable culture that we have in Canada.
Great. Well, Cam, look, thanks for carving some time out of your day. We're super excited to be expanding with you, especially in Western Canada, but all across the country. You guys are really, I think, going to enable a lot of what you just said, 10 and 15 times seeing the box instead of maybe only a few. So thanks for making time this morning in your service on the Soles for Souls Canada board. We are at time. Remarkably landed right at 11:30. So I want to thank everybody who spoke today, all the people behind the scenes who made it possible, and all of you for taking some time. I am probably the luckiest guy in the world getting to do what I do. I love my job at Soles for Souls, and a big part of it is because of some of the people that you hear today and the thousands and hundreds of thousands more who benefit from the work that we all do together. So as I mentioned, if you're interested in learning more, please go to our website, look for our 2022 impact report. I think there's a lot more there to dig into. And if this is where we end the conversation today, that is also terrific. Thanks for making time. And we look forward to getting everybody back together to talk about this again soon. Thanks.